Welcome to the Tell Me More podcast presented by Major League Success. I'm pumped to have this guest on with us, Sheryl Houck. She's actually in the Tampa Bay market, and honestly, I don't know if I've interviewed anyone out of Columbus. So this is this is going to be fun, and I always start out with how I know the guest and all of those things, but really we've connected since what, December? I think is when we initially met.
Yeah.
And we're working on a project together, across the country, and I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit. But Sheryl, thank you so much for your time and for coming on and just sharing your story. Give us a little brief background. I always like to start with growing up. I'm a big believer that our past has a big impact on our real estate business. You'll see people on the show, they talk about, they are an entrepreneur, or, they grew up in a situation that forced them to work and have that work ethic, and how that's played into their real estate career and all of those other things. So what was growing up like?
Yeah, the latter is very much in alignment with my story. But John, thank you. Thank you for having me on here today. Looking forward to spending some time with you, and it's been exciting running with you since December, and I hope that we do get to share a little bit more of that. But I'm from Hershey, Pennsylvania. I say Hershey, but it's actually 25 minutes outside of Hershey, and very rural Pennsylvania. Neighboring farm was Amish, the other one was Mennonite, and just really myopic, very simple. And I have come to terms with, and no longer embarrassed, that I was an hour and 15 minutes away from Philadelphia, but I was 19 years old until I got to the big city of Philadelphia. So super farming oriented community, which, comes with that, the value of hard work, really great people, good food, good food. But yeah, very simple upbringing. And my parents certainly taught me the value of hard work, big hearts. Fortunately, my father, being the youngest of 18 children, my mother, the oldest girl of 7,
Wow.
huge family.
Wow.
I had an aunt that married outside of the area. So in walks my sharp dressed, cool Uncle Bill, and I was able to look at them and the life that they were building. And she was driving a yellow Corvette and pink golf balls on the golf course, and I wanted to be like her. So she was very much my inspiration growing up. And I knew that there was something larger than the myopic life that I lived on the farm, very provincial. So it just, sometimes I move to tears to think about the journey that I've had over the years and the people that I've able to connect with and what we're able to build on a national platform. So yeah, in a nutshell.
So growing up, did you, did you have that entrepreneurial spirit? Were you a salesperson? Did you do sports, team player? What were some of the activities that you got into?
John, I didn't know the meaning of entrepreneur growing up. However, I was gifted with some athleticism, and I did grow my confidence on the softball field and field hockey and cheerleader in the wintertime. I probably should have played basketball, but yes, that's where I definitely attribute my confidence to.
Awesome. And then, going through school. Now, did you guys have a farm yourself, or?
Yeah.
All
We
right.
lived on a dairy farm, and it was huge. I don't even know. Ironically, I know that there are 43,560 feet in 1 acre, but I don't remember exactly how many acres that we lived on, but it was vast.
Yeah.
It was vast.
I'm sure you learned a lot of skills, life skills, work skills, in that environment.
Yeah, the hard work. Yes, we baled hay. We did, salt of the earth. Very much hard work. However, I was a little bit precocious. I had this curiosity. I was always a risk taker. In fact, I remember my father had this Yamaha motorcycle, and I had a mini bike, and we would go out and drive around the farm. But he got rid of it on me behind my back because he was fearful for me. I would go so fast on that thing. There was no trouble to get into.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I learned to be a risk taker way back then, and also the value of hard work and very generous people. If you know anything about that central Pennsylvania, the work ethic and just the meaning of Mennonite is really plain people, just salt of the earth.
Yeah.
Basic
I've only been to Hershey, Pennsylvania once growing up, and obviously that was to the factory, right? But my parents actually lived in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania for about I think 3 or 4 years. So that's I got to go over there and visit them I think maybe once or twice. I was already in college, so I didn't visit much. But yeah, it's growing up, it's that when you're in that type of environment, I think the only thing you really know is the hard work part, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, there's nothing else to really do, so you just kind of figured it out on your own and
get creative.
Dirt bikes, four-wheelers. I grew up in the country as well, just south of Youngstown, so small town, and I totally get it. I get it.
Yeah. And John, I hated it for so much of my adult life. I'm like, how unfair, I didn't get the culture, I was responsible for culturifying myself. But you know what, at some point you embrace it all. My parents are amazing people. They're still together. They're still committed. They're still with us. And it really is such a blessing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy going to the big city at 19, right?
And that, my friend, is why I have this extraordinary zest for life. It's a big world. So I've made up for that in travel. My passport is very well decorated.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That was kind of like me walking onto Ohio State's campus for the first time. It's like this whole different city, right? So high school years, did you go to college, not go to college?
Nope, college. I did not go to college right out of high school. That just wasn't part of the conversations. You grew up to a farmer's daughter to be a farmer's wife, and that was that. So I had secured a job at an insurance company for 5 years. I dedicated 5 years to them, and it was a great job. The pay rate was based out of New York City, which was unusual for our area. So I was able to accomplish some success fast, relatively speaking. And then I was in a really bad car accident February of 1994. And I saw the light. I put my head back and I saw the light. I thought it was over. My parents were at home, heard about the accident on the scanner, had no idea that it was me. But when I put my head back and I submitted, there was a rap on my window. And there was a gentleman that took my bumper and smashed my window. I still got scars on the back of my head. And he pulled me out of a burning car.
Oh my gosh.
Pretty incredible. So it was at that moment that I had decided I don't want to be here. I want to move to someplace warm. So the gentleman at that time that I was dating was from Montreal, and he and I just moved to Tampa in 1995, and I've been here since.
That is so crazy. That's so crazy. I mean, luckily, that someone was there nearby, right? And
my angel, Jesse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that is that's a wild story. And I always say every winter, why are we still living here in Columbus? We could be anywhere,
John, it's a great marketing technique for us down here in Florida. There's no sense of living somewhere where the air hurts your face.
Yeah, I mean, I can do real estate wherever. My wife can do what she does, wherever. We both just have to retake tests, and that's that. And every winter, I ask my question. So I'm happy that you did that, right? Because most people don't. And I think about, when I graduated college, and I got into the business 3 weeks after graduation. I went back to real estate classes and all that. And, I just told myself I'm going to make it here in Columbus. I can't go back to that small town. It's depressing. It's a different way of life, different mindset around everything. Yeah. And, I always joked. I said, my dad would probably charge me rent if I went back home anyway. So I might as well make it work here and pay rent here.
Right,
Right.
right.
So
But circling back to that, John, it wasn't until I got here that I realized that education really, really is important. So I ended up going back to school, first to a community college, established 2 years, established the great grades that I could get a scholarship to move into University of Tampa, which at that point, there was no way that I could have afforded it without a scholarship. But I earned it on merit, and I'm the first generation college grad in my family,
nice.
which is pretty darn cool. So I had a big year when I turned 30, graduating from college. Yes.
You have and we'll probably touch on it, but you have a lot of firsts, right? Yeah. So that would have been what year did you graduate college then?
2001.
2001. Okay. And then what did you go to college for? Was it?
I went to college for government and world affairs because I was law school bound in my head.
Oh, wow.
And I then married a lawyer who told me not to because it would break my spirit, and he loved my spirit. And I found a job as a social worker, engaging my heart, because for most of my life I was led by my heart, and worked as a social worker before I got into real estate. And the fun part is when you divorce an attorney, it gets really, really interesting. And I shifted then. I had a mentor slash family friend that was a property appraiser, and he also had his real estate sales license. And ironically, before his real estate career, he was a social worker as well. So he
is that how you connected, or was it just coincidence?
I met him through my ex-husband in that attorney
Gotcha.
field. He was married to an attorney as well, but he took me under his wing and trained me up as an appraisal apprentice. I soon also got my sales license with him. So that was way back in 2001, 2002. And so 20 years later, here I am. It's been a wild ride.
And what made you switch gears from social work into, I mean, real estate, but an appraisal and real estate agent? What kind of was that thought process like?
Yeah, well, really, I mean, it's a shame that some of the most noble careers in our society as teachers and social workers, I think I was making $28,000 a year.
Yeah.
So he knew that I was in that position coming out of a marriage that was not going to sustain the lifestyle that I had become accustomed to.
Yeah.
And I'm just so very grateful. And I'm going to give a shout out to Wayne Brown right here and now, because he really changed the trajectory of my life.
Yeah. It's funny because I think, as I get to interview and know agents and top agents, that mentor plays a huge role in a lot of the stories that I hear, right? Is, actually having that one person, and it's me. I tell people all the time, if it wasn't for, I'm still with my team lead, the person, I only interviewed with one person when I got licensed, and I've been with him since day one. And I tell people, if that was just luck of how I met with him, and if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be in this business, and I wouldn't be where I'm at right now, being able to help other agents succeed in this business. And I see that's a constant in a lot of stories is, the people that kind of take it and go to their next level and keep leveling up, they always have a mentor or someone that's there helping them.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I have a few, and by the grace of God, we cross paths, and yeah, it now is our responsibility to pay that forward, because I definitely see the value of that. We should all be so lucky and open.
Yeah.
Open to having those relationships, because I don't care who you are, wherever you are, you raise your hand. If you're in the right circle, there's somebody in that circle that's going to reach out and give you a hand up, not a hand out. It's tough love, right? Not an enabler, but somebody that is going to level you up. And then, of course, there's another layer of uncomfortableness, right? But that's just been part of my journey, and getting around people to better and better ourselves. And I just love rippling that on out to the people that are coming in after me, it's just such a beautiful dynamic and something intrinsic in the EXP model that not one of us could have identified when we were studying the, obviously, the beneficial financial offering of
right.
EXP. You can't see those intrinsics in between. And that's one of the things that I've grown to love so much, the best about EXP.
Yeah. And I think, you know, with that, we're both at EXP. And I think that's one of the things you said, the financial side, that was always the opportunity, right? But I think what a lot of people get caught up on or don't really think about is this only works if we are mentoring and coaching other people that we bring into our world.
The old model where we are incentivized to make the person that comes in after us better than we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, there's power in that. There's a lot of power in that.
Yep. And I always talk about, you know, as a real estate agent, I believe that everyone should have a coach. I believe that everyone should be a peer to someone else that's on their same level, right? That you guys are going through the same ups and downs, and just someone to, you know, pump you up during the highs and pull you through the lows. And then I always believe that you can always coach someone no matter where you're at in your career, even if you just started yesterday.
Yep.
Well, guess what? Now you're day 2 into real estate. There's always someone that wants to get to where you're currently at, and you can coach them to that spot. I don't think you have to be, you know, you don't have to be a quote unquote coach to coach someone. I think it's, hey, you want to get to where I'm at. I'm doing 10 deals right now. I'll show you how I did that, right? Hey, I'm doing 35 deals right now. I'll show you how I did that. And I think those 3 things are super important for an agent to really maximize their business. So I want to kind of go back a little bit. 2001, 2002, you're doing appraisals. Are you also selling real estate at the same time? Or did you just kind of, were you doing both 50-50, or what was your main place?
Yeah, good question. I started full time with real estate appraisal. As you know, when I learn anything, I jump in feet first. And so I was doing solely appraisals, but I knew the importance and I knew that I wanted to get my sales license. So I got my sales license early in 2002, and I didn't really do anything with it. I built an incredibly successful appraisal firm. I brought 4 other apprentice appraisers in under me and help them build out their businesses. And that is a model that basically you're required to spend 2 years under an apprentice, and then you go out and you be their competition, unlike what we just described. So I did that from 2002 to 2006 and 7. And we know what happened around 2006 and 7. And being so close to the transaction, I saw that trend happening very early. And I then started to put my sales license into play, which you can imagine what that looked like. At that time, you know, smart money did nothing. And the story gets really interesting at this time because I connected with a new franchise that was coming to Tampa. Opened, beautiful office, opened on Hyde Park Circle, and they touted an international chain of property shops, and that how they were connected. And there was a lot of money moving around the globe, and I was working with them for 6 to 8 months, and I got trained up, and I was doing a few sales, and short sales were becoming prevalent at that time. And I was a single mother, 100% financially responsible for my son. And he came into the world November 1st, 2005. And so this shakeup in 2006, 2007 made me really, really nervous. And it's amazing what the motivation. So I got on the horn, called the international chain of property shops, and I learned that the top 5 most productive shops were all located in, of all places, Dubai. So I got on the phone with the owners of those shops, and I sent them my resume of what I had quickly accomplished, and they brought me aboard. Fortunately, they offered me a salary. They put me up in a penthouse at the Jumeirah Beach residence across the street from the Palm Jumeirah. I had a view of that. Yeah, you probably had seen pictures of it.
Probably if I see the pictures, I would know, but.
Yeah, so I took my 2-year-old son, and he and I went over to the UAE to sell real estate in Dubai, which was a 2-year plan. But had I not done that, John, I would have lost our townhouse at that point to foreclosure because we were all scrambling trying to make it.
And I want to kind of dive into that. I kind of knew that was part of your story, but I didn't obviously know. But what was it that just made you want to reach out to be, the top 5 places and then make the decision to go essentially across the world to work in a place that you've never even probably been to before at that point? Like, I just think back to when you were talking about, riding dirt bikes, risk taker, right? Like, but what was that thought process of, was it just, I want to be where the best people are? I mean, was it, I just need this opportunity?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I don't know that I've ever contemplated it before. Unfortunately, I believe that it was fear driven because I just knew that I had to provide. I had to provide for my son, 100% financially responsible, and I needed to somehow make ends meet. And if that was the only environment that had a healthy environment of real estate sales, then I needed to go there.
Yeah. That's so crazy, because I talk about, trying to move out of Columbus to somewhere warm, and you went across the ocean. What was selling real estate in Dubai like? I mean, is it similar to here, or what was especially at that time, right? Obviously, we all know what happens in 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
What was real estate like over there? What was the market like? How did things get done? And then how long did you stay?
Yeah, it's a great question because I did a lot of research. Of course, making a move like that wasn't just off of a whim. And, reading articles in the national papers, in international papers, I'm like, okay, so they have a period, though we may have fallen here, they have a period of climax selling. So I think that we have another good 2 years over there. And so when I went over there, I was so blown away to know that they didn't have an MLS. Their state regulatory board was just starting to take formation. RERA, they were called. So basically, it was all cash because under Sharia law, they don't charge interest, and
yeah.
it was just fascinating. So the major difference is that there was no inventory. You had to go to a platform called dobizzle.com, which was similar to our Craigslist, to find inventory to match buyers with sellers, which I thought was really fascinating. I thought it was fascinating that we got paid in cash. And the other big difference was that the most of the sales were from far eastern money, and they were buying up entire floors of new construction on paper. So as opposed to here in the US, where the end user got stuck holding the bag in the unit when the market went down, so they had to figure out how to do a short sale on that.
Yeah.
We had entire floors of undeveloped new construction that they were left holding, which was fascinating.
How was agency like? Was it buy, like listing or buyer, or the person, or was it, people that had the listing had both clients?
Well, pretty much there wasn't an exclusive listing agreement. Sometimes you would have a daisy chain. I mean, I had a transaction over there. There were 5 people that we had to split the commission with.
Oh,
but the median price, the median sales price at that time, John, it's going to blow your mind, was $900,000 US.
Yeah.
There was enough to go around, but really it was a 2-year plan. But I went over there in late July, early August, and fascinating because Ramadan soon came. If you know anything about that culture, there's a month of fasting during the day, and my kid was 2 and wanted candy, and I'm like, can he eat candy? Are we going to get full? But the fall of Lehman Brothers, you remember that fall in 2008, and at the same time, they had one of the largest international real estate expos in the world was going on over there, called Cityscape. And there was a lot of anticipation. When America sneezes, it's felt throughout. And it was clear at that point in October with the fall of Lehman Brothers here, and then the DIFC, which is the Wall Street over there, was feeling it. And there was a mass diaspora. There were a lot of us over there, expatriates, trying to make it in real estate. And under Sharia law, if you get into any type of debt and you can't repay, that's a punishable offense by jail.
Wow.
So you saw a lot of expatriates that would leave their cars at the airport with their credit card statements, their cell phones, and they just got out of Dodge. And I had to make the hard decision, because the 3 months that they put me up in this penthouse, whether I was going to go into a lease and be financially responsible for that. So I made arrangements for another 2 months. But after 5 months, I thought, you know what? I just got black eyes on American soil, and I don't want to experience this here. So
yeah,
it was cut short. I then came back, and that was the hardest time of my life, really. But
that would have been
lessons inherent in that.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. I mean, I can't imagine, with a 2-year-old and going to a completely different country and just learning the customs and the laws and you're trying to survive and make it, right? And just understanding, real estate, right? Like, you had the experience here, but it's a different world, over there of how things are done. And but I know that probably plays a huge role into once you come back, right? And well, kind of walk me through some of that. You come back to the United States. Did you just jump back into the real estate sales? Did you go back to appraising?
Yeah, good question, because I came back in 2009, and I went home to mom for a couple of weeks, about 4 weeks, just to lick my wounds and figure out, in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and figure out what next. I had my townhouse rented out. And so I was making some connections while I was up there, keeping temperature on opportunities, what our market was doing. And I then decided after a month to come back to Tampa, and we stayed in an extended hotel suite. I had to get some daycare vouchers to get Noah into daycare so I could get back to work. So we were on assistance. We were on government assistance for 3 months. And another one of my mentors had connected me with a Century 21 office, and I was able to get a full-time job and with some incentives in building that office. And we built that office, grew it 150% from the time through short sales.
Yeah.
So we head down, helped a lot of sellers get out of difficult situations, but they were tough years. But by the grace of God and a couple of scars on my knuckles, I'm so much better for that experience today.
Yeah, it's one of those things for me, like the 08, 09, 2010, I was kind of numb to it because I was in college, right? Like, I was in my own little world. I didn't have to experience that. But when I got licensed in 2011, my team lead had connected with a bank, and we were doing REOs, so in 2011, when I got licensed, 2012, I think his portfolio was 120, 130 homes that we were in charge of selling. Not only that, but this bank was smaller, so they allowed the tenants to stay in the properties.
Oh, wow.
So we did tenant, property management. The vacant ones, we boarded up, we mowed, we winterized, we did all that stuff. And, I feel lucky that I was able to cut my teeth that way when I got into it, and I, 2011 was still kind of bad, but it wasn't, 08, 09, but short sales, right? Like, having the experience with short sales, working, auction properties and HUD homes and Home Path and all that other stuff, and, people getting in the last 3, 4, 5, even 5 years, they don't know what that stuff's like. And, when this market starts to turn a little bit and slow down, and if we start seeing some of those things pop up, it's going to be an interesting time. It's going to be an interesting time.
It will be, and grateful you have the experience that you can help a lot of agents.
Oh, I'm not scared.
Bring it.
You want to talk about waiting like 8 months for a short sale to get approved and closed?
Yeah.
So So you come back, you move back down to Tampa. You start building a Century 21 office. What happened after that?
And then, okay, so now we're at 2000, 2010, that was 2009, fall of 2009. I started that position, 2010, 2011, 2012. I was presented with an opportunity with two different large REITs funds, probably because of my property appraisal experience. And, I'm a numbers gal, I'm numbers driven, and my tag, my branding is helping you build wealth through real estate. So I had two of those voluminous funds approach me and wanting to buy volume. Yeah, can you get us 30 deals per month in the Tampa market? Well, yeah, I can do that.
Yes, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but yes.
And they had asked me to move to a particular brokerage that they had their systems with, and so I did that, and had a great run from 2012 to 2018. Had a great run with that type of business, and we're seeing that more prevalent today than ever. So as you know, John, I am over the moon excited to watch other agents really flourish and see success with this little market niche.
Yeah. How did you get that relationship? Was it just by chance, or did you know? Because even back then, like 2012, like there was investors, but I didn't, at least here in Columbus, I didn't know that there was still the corporations going out and buying at that time. I didn't experience that. And I can't remember if, we ever dealt with any large corporations when we were even selling off some of our foreclosures and stuff.
Yeah.
How did that connection happen?
One was through a fellow real estate agent. Another one was through a mortgage broker that I was working with that just happened to knew somebody. And then another one was a cold reach out on LinkedIn.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Nice. There's a guy, I'm on Clubhouse. I'm big on Clubhouse. And there's a guy, his name's Chris. He's in, I think, New Jersey or somewhere. And he always says, in real estate, your life can change in 24 hours.
Yes.
And I think about that a lot. And just that right there, right? Like when I'm talking to agents, if we're doing leads and things like that, you just never know who's on the other end of that phone.
Absolutely.
A cold LinkedIn reach out, like you just never know. That's crazy.
Yeah. And I attribute all of that to my faith, because despite the turbulence and the rough times, I was able to maintain presence and good cheer to raise my son, who was very impressionable. He turned 3 while we were over in Dubai, and that was my world. And even though we were homeless and we were staying in an extended hotel facility, home was wherever we were.
Yeah.
And as long as that was my motivation, I wanted to keep him insulated from the challenges. He didn't need to know, and he didn't know anything other. He had a very innocent smile on his face, and to this day, he's just a joyful, amazing person.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So you get involved into the REITs and start doing that. What's kind of the next kind of lead us up till today?
Well, in between, at the tail end of the REITs, on that first run, I encountered EXP. I had since moved over to Keller Williams, I believe in 2013. And I was very happy there. It was my home. I never thought I'd leave. I loved their priorities, God, family, business. And I flourished there. And I'm a 3-time bold graduate. And I credit KW for breaking through many of my limiting beliefs, and had a great experience there. However, my admin had relocated to Colorado. Her husband had a military relocation, and I desperately needed a tech solution. So I had approached my team leader twice to see if there was any way that we could make that happen. And then, of course, on my own accord, I started researching tech solutions to figure this out. And I came across this peculiar model of EXP. And when I looked in, I'm like, this sounds way too good to be true, and sort of left it alone. And within a couple of weeks, I had noticed that one of my former bold coaches actually was at, can you still hear me?
Yep.
Was flying the flag of EXP.
And I called him up. He said, "You do way too much activity. You know, they're still building, and it's basically a shit show. Stay where you are." Yeah. And then I kept seeing big hitters across the country making the move. So I circled back with him, and he told me the same thing. And I said, "You know what, Hank? I'm coming." I love you. I respect you, but this is, I get it. I see it. And so it did solve that challenge, being that we have the metaverse, that national platform. So Mary and I were able to work effectively together on the cloud for that tech solution. So it solved that, but and so much more. And was it perfect? No. I can tell you within the first 30 days, $400 was dropped into Hank's bank account because of my production. It was at that.
I think you muted yourself.
I don't know how that happened.
There we go.
Right. So what was the last thing you heard, John?
The $400 dropped into Hank's bank account.
Okay. So, so he was seeing the power of rev share. I was seeing the power of the national network.
Yeah.
And it wasn't perfect. The financing of it, I capped quickly. They were still taking that money. And so what? First request, can you help me out here, accounting? Second request, third request, fourth request, fifth request, sixth request. Jason gets on the phone and he apologizes for the inefficiency in the system, and we're scaling, and you're coming in with a lot of. I knew at that point I am with a class act of a company. If the CEO of the company is reaching out to me with an apology and assuring me that we will make things better, but I'm sure glad that I came in with the spirit of let's build this, and not that diva, hey, you're taking my money, right? And I just knew at that point that this was a really special community to be part of, but I didn't know just how incredible it would get.
Yeah. What year was that when you made that move?
That was 2017.
2017, and then you quickly became the state's first icon agent, right?
Yes, I did, which was super, super sweet, because as a single mother, once upon a time on food stamps, there was no way in the world that I would have dreamt that I could have sent my boy to private school.
Yeah.
And that icon award alone would have paid for 3 years of Admiral Farragut 3 times over.
Yeah.
Such a blessing.
Yeah. I mean, it's so, we came over and we were at the EXP conference in Fort Lauderdale in the fall of 2017.
That was my first one too. Yeah.
And Ryan was a part of a mastermind, and my real estate coaching, the company that we were coaching through, all of those guys at that conference, we all made the decision that we're all coming for the most part. So that's when, and to be the first icon agent in the whole state, I don't think people understand what that means. Just from, one, top agent, right? You're actually selling a ton of transactions to get that, but to the financial side of it, right? And at that time, I those share prices, right? It was a great time to join the company. And so I want to keep moving forward. You're now at EXP. Are you still tied into the REITs, or are you just kind of doing things on your own?
Yeah, no, I'm all about maintaining relationships that, I've learned through mentorship. I've learned through collaboration, that really through people, that's where the magic happens. And if you're coming from the right place, you're doing the right things for the right people for the right reasons. I just know that there's a collective spirit of exponential success. Yeah. So I have done a great job of maintaining those relationships. I can tell you, however, if any of my general real estate clients are listening to this, I am terrible when it comes to automated drip campaigns. I'm terrible about staying in contact with some of them, but here's what's for sure. They know that I care. They know that if they need something, that they can reach out to me anytime, and I'm here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where I think we all struggle with some of that stuff. You know, for our team, it's always been we've been so internet lead based and heavy and that transaction, right? And that's kind of where we've same kind of boat, right? You know, staying in front of our past clients and making sure that we are top of mind with them.
yes. Yes.
So now I want to take us to current day. Kind of what do you have going on? Anything you want to chat about or?
Yeah, we talked about the large funds, and I have a passion. I was fortunate enough to serve on the Express Offers team when we're building out our iBuying program, which is incredible in itself. That we
Yeah.
have this national network, so we are the largest independent real estate company that's licensed in all 50 states. So we have this national platform that we can do things that siloed, fragmented franchise systems can't do.
Yeah.
So when we started to see Open Door and OfferPad and Zillow too come into our markets, and we thought, wow, I'd gotten a lot of calls from friends, some from friends of friends saying that they were in contract with this corporation for profit with no representation. Sheryl, can you help us? So at that point, I realized that this was becoming a problem because it wasn't in the best interest of the seller, nor was it in the best interest of our industry or the real estate agent. So our leadership, as brilliant as they are, rolled out the solution. And that's one thing that I want to pay big kudos is our leadership is always identifying the challenges that consumers are having, that sellers are having, and they quickly solve for them, which is just genius. So I totally got behind that given my experience. And so I've served as the iBuyer relationship specialist. We had brought in 6 months, I had brought 75 with help of some of our with many of our agents, 75 investor partners across the US. So unlike the Open Door and the OfferPad, we have a marketplace of investor partners that can make multiple offers in various markets on a seller's home. And really, that's what they want when they don't want to go on the open market. They don't want to do open houses. They don't want strangers traipsing through their house, which was huge and propelled by COVID, right? So again, doing the right things at the right time. So
yeah, and it's, you know, the iBuyer program with EXP, it wasn't just one investor, right? You had a slew of people to run that one property through, and the homeowners got to pick the best one that they wanted, right?
So they're all looking for something different. Our investor partners, you've got some that are looking for land, you've got some that are looking for mobile homes, some buy and holds, some fix and flips, looking wherever they could come and create value in neighborhoods for the fix and flips. Many of them were looking for that product, which is really a hot product right now.
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't know this answer from you, but with your appraising background and the idea, I think the majority of real estate agents in general tend to have a scarcity mindset. And you know, I hear it in our market, right? All of these hedge funds are coming in and buying up all of these properties. And, you know, last year in Columbus, it was the most amount of sales we've ever had. It was, I think we did like 36,000 on market deals total, not counting new builds, not counting all the FSBOs. But if you actually break down the numbers, you know, hedge fund deals is probably less than 3%. Of the total market, but all you hear is they're coming up and buying all these properties, right? What are your thoughts around corporations coming into markets and purchasing homes and from a value appraisal standpoint? As you know, I'm just curious of your thoughts, because I don't think I've ever asked you. To me, it's like, it's no different than, you know, the mom and pop investor buying up 10 houses a year, right? You know, they're all doing the same thing.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. And when I guess maybe I want to first ask you to define the corporation, because when we're defining a corporation like, you know, an Open Door or an OfferPad or Zillow versus a corporation like EXP that has an agent that's relevant in the transaction and is guiding the transaction, because those corporations without the real estate agent are working on algorithms. And we saw what happened with Zillow offers. That did not end well. Not good for Zillow's shareholders, not good for the industry, not good for the real estate market. So I think that it is so important to have a real estate agent in the midst of that transaction, and EXP solve for that. In terms of appraisal, obviously those algorithms they're being pushed by the higher, they're establishing, and I've seen an article on this, that Zillow was establishing their own market values in neighborhoods as they were pushing the prices up.
Right.
And that, I actually had conversations with a neighbor that I had to say, take that offer. That's an incredible offer. Take it and run. And only 2 months later, that's when Zillow pulled the plug.
Right.
But they were making outlandish offers and pushing market values up artificially, and that's not sustainable.
Right. Right.
So fortunately, I think Open Door has taken a lesson from that. OfferPad has taken a lesson from that, and they've pulled back their offers quite a bit. But what I love about Cash Offer Consultants, about what we are doing in collaboration with Express Offers, is that we are able to vet all of their options. We can put it through Open Door and we can put it through OfferPad, but we are seeing, when we put everything on a net sheet, what is the best investor offer for them. Yeah. And then, of course, Mr. Seller, this is what it would look like if you wanted to go on the open market, and you're going to experience the inconvenience, which is fine. Let's assess the trade-off. What's most important to you? But you'd have to get this sale price. And even if you could get this sale price, is it going to appraise? Likely not, because these are the past 3 sales. But I have this particular investor that doesn't require an appraisal. So I am convinced, John, that we have the tools and the resources to give the seller the best possible outcome in the market. And it's really exciting.
Yeah, no, it's exciting to be a part of it and to grow with it, right? You know, it's kind of like the EXP stuff. It's new, we're growing, we're working through all the kinks, right? And at the end of the day, when the right people are on board, it's going to be figured out.
Yes.
And it's going to become the premier way of doing business. What are your thoughts on just the larger corporations just coming in and just buying the properties, just from a homeowner standpoint, the market standpoint? You know, I talk to a lot of agents, and it's, you know, I don't want investors coming in and buying because, you know, now they're just going to charge, you know, high rents. And here's my thing, you know, you have some cities that are more rental centric cities, and then you have some cities that are more home ownership centric cities. And I think some of the fear, you know, I'm in a market where it's full on growth mode, you know, right now, to where it's like, are these companies coming in and just driving up prices to then now specifically my market is no longer quote unquote affordable? What are your thoughts just on that overall?
Yeah, it's interesting because they're getting their money from other sources, right? You know, so I think what's happening for the most part is the money is best served, or the investors, whether you're the corporation or the investors behind the corporation, right? They know that real estate is a tangible asset, and I'm not going to put this money into the stock market because that can go below zero.
Right.
Real estate will never fall below zero. So whether it's big corporations that are acquiring or individual investors that are putting their money into real estate, it's still a force to be reckoned with. REITs funds just made it really efficient to do it, just like EXP has made it really efficient to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and rents are going up, and market forces are market forces.
Yeah.
We are interpreting the market, and if the demand for rentals are there, they're just responding to the demand for rentals.
Right.
So we need to be better about educating. And a lot of that, in my opinion, is the millennials that have seen some of us go through the hardships of 2008, 2009, and are not big fans of home ownership because of that tough time. But we need to be educating, because we know that real estate, if held long enough, is always going to go up in value. And it is always the biggest, according to many economists, the best driver to build wealth. So real estate agents need to be educating on that.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. Like I said, to me, it's no different than, you know, a one-man LLC or one-person LLC going and buying up 10 houses a year. You know, it's still all the same, right? It's still all the same. So the education piece. And now I want to move into the future. What is one thing that you're looking to accomplish over the next 12 months?
Ooh, this excites me. You know, this excites me so much. So I have been in the process in partnership with two amazing EXP agents in different markets, Jean Darden and Kevin Shoemaker, and John, yourself being at the kitchen table. And I'm so over the moon excited to be collaborating. And this would never happen in traditional real estate brokerage, because real estate is typically local in nature, and your competitors are behind closed doors, and you don't collaborate so much. We have this traditional approach to real estate, and EXP has totally opened that up, and I love the creativity. So we are now in 14 different markets that we are able to help sellers get the best possible outcome. So we are building different systems to support real estate agents to be able to work this avenue of business.
Yeah.
And so my hope is that we will be open in 24 different markets, that we're going to be able to offer this to more agents, offer the solution to more sellers. And I have a passion that we are into something incredibly unique, and that we can be part of the premier iBuying platform of the future. Call me crazy.
Like I said, when you partner with the right people, right, that align in the vision and where you want to go, it's, you know, magic can happen.
Yeah, and it's not about the money, and it's not about me. It's about impact and how we can help the most amount of people. And one thing that's commonplace within our EXP model is that once you find the big win, it ironically is the highest and best outcome for the seller, the highest and best outcome for the agent, the highest and best outcome for the investor partner. People don't have to lose for it to be a win for someone else.
Right. Yeah, you can create that win-win, and ultimately convenience, right, on both sides of it. Convenience on both sides of it. And, you know, I think about Amazon a lot. You know, I think about you know, DoorDash. I think about Instacart. You know, Uber, right? Like all of those companies. What do they provide? They provide convenience.
Convenience,
right, to the consumer.
Kings.
You know, and for the most part, most sellers want the most amount of money in the least amount of time with the least amount of hassle. And through this, that is the solution that what you're building is able to provide.
Yeah, what we're building.
What is what's one thing that you're looking to accomplish in the next 5 years?
Wow. I would love for this core group of cash offer consultants to find themselves on the stage in a panel discussion regarding how we did it, why we did it, and the wins achieved. I would love to see that happen, because I really do think that we're onto something that is really going to impact the industry.
Yeah, no, giving me some chills there, Sheryl.
I don't know how this little girl maintains to think big, but those that are crazy enough to think that they can make a difference are the ones that do, I've heard.
Yeah. What's one thing that you think you need to add to the business in order to make that happen?
I learned a lot last week at the kitchens table. And I really, really, really was not aware of how a lot of the most successful agents are leveraging the power of ISAs and virtual assistants. And I have traditionally operated from a real estate point of view. I did successfully build a team 2016, 17, 18 to service them. So I knew the power of leverage that way. But I didn't realize that we as real estate, I knew that we were challenged as real estate agents because we're expected to do everything. We're expected to do marketing, social media,
Right.
our books, and service the client at a very high level. And I want to stay in that lane. I want to find the best solutions for all stakeholders. And I did not realize that you can hire a VA that can absolutely nail spreadsheets, that you can hire a VA that specializes only in social media. So I'm so impressed by what Justin Nelson has built with Spear Rocket, and I am just now leaning into that. And I also haven't coached with anybody professionally for a little while. I went through a little period where I pulled back, and I did work with a somatic intelligence coach to get through some of my crap during COVID. And coming out just with a clearer perspective and aligning with brilliance such as you and Gene and Kevin and the rest of the kitchen's table, I couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, no, I tell people all the time, you got to get yourselves into rooms, right? A mastermind, a conference, whatever the case may be, and you and I got connected because I was in that room before, right? Another person in that room connected us together. So again, going back to in real estate, your life can change in 24 hours. I randomly got a message on Facebook and said, "Hey, John, there's this opportunity that's coming to your market. Are you in?" And if it wasn't for me putting myself in that room, in that environment in 2021, I don't know if that would have been there, right, for me. So,
and look, it's not an end all be all here, John, on a silver platter. It's hard work. And you're doing the work, but it's not easy, but it's worth it, I say.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So I really appreciate your time, and I know we're coming up close to the hour. But I always end with this question. If you could give the audience that's maybe similar to you, or just one piece of advice, whether it's when you got into the business, now, whatever the case may be regarding real estate, what would that one piece of advice be?
That one piece of advice would be niche down. The riches are in the niches. We can spend so much of our time servicing buyers, servicing sellers, servicing investors, and you can't get particularly great at one thing if your energy is spread so thin. So assess your gifts and align those gifts with any particular avenue of business is what I'd say, because coming from a property appraiser's mindset, I easily aligned with the investor route. And that's not true of everybody. I mean, sometimes I wish I would have fallen in the luxury category, but I didn't. And one thing too, while I'm here, that I'd love to say is, John, I spent so much of my years in real estate watching rock star real estate agents in the general space. And I had so much admiration and respect because I know that real estate is the hardest business in the world to systemize. So here I have this one investor partner that have a buy box. So I was able to systemize that. And as a result of that, I always felt disconnected. And glory to God that here we are coming full circle. And I have the opportunity to share what I've learned. And I wasn't so different from everybody else. We need to focus on how we're all alike. People are people at the end of the day. So get out of your own way, get right with yourself, and find your niche. And get in those rooms, as you mentioned, because we're all together, we rise.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. I tell agents all the time, if you look at any top producing solo agent, any top team, they're only executing on 1 to 3 things. That's it. Going back to your point, right? Like, hey, if I got that investor mindset and I enjoy it, go and rock with it. You can make a great living doing that. You don't have to be in the luxury market, and you don't have to be the top listing agent. You don't got to be the top this or the top that, or a social media influencer, or whatever it may be. You don't have to do it all. Find what you're good at. Our coach, John Kitchens, was, what are you the best in the world at? Go and do that. Go and do that.
Yeah. Otherwise, we look around and we see Jon Harp nailing it in podcasts, and we see social media. We see, and we think that we have to do it all. In comparison, is the thief of joy. We know.
Yeah.
Find your lane. Find your
Yeah.
lane.
Yeah. For those that are watching, you can see down at the bottom of the screen, you know, if you resonated with Sheryl's story and you want to connect, if you're a real estate agent and you want to pick her brain about, you know, what she's doing, what she's building, if you are a home buyer or home seller in the Tampa market, greater Tampa area, reach out to her on Facebook. It's the best way to connect with her. Sheryl, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. I always tell people selfishly, I love to hear other people's stories and you know what gets them going and all of those things. So I really appreciate your time and coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. I'm honored to be on your podcast, Jon. Thank you.
Yeah, and go connect with Sheryl on Facebook. She is a wealth of knowledge, and like I said, whether you're buying, selling in the Tampa area, or you know, just a real estate agent that you know wants to connect with her to pick her brain on the market, make sure you guys are connecting with her.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, Sheryl.
Lots to do. Thank you, Jon.
All righty.
Take care.